4, 3, 2, 1.
Liftoff and the clock has started.
Hello, all. Welcome back to this, we'll call it a drop-in episode of the All Around Show. And it is living up to its name, just the All Around Show. Whatever strikes my fancy, whatever piques my interest, whatever maybe irritates me a little bit, maybe I'll just jump on and talk about it. Why not? You got the technology right. And you, if you have anything to add, I always welcome lucid commentary, comments that may forward the conversation, anything of value. So if you have anything like that, please feel free to drop it right on in there. And before I get into this, please remember the algorithm owns us. So go do your likey, subscribey, reviewy, bell, clicky, alert things that are really hard for me to give a shit about, but that are so very important because I value you and your time and I'd love to have you along. Anyway, I felt compelled to drop in today because I've been doing some research. My wife and I will be celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary very soon, and we are taking a trip that we've been planning for, I don't know, I guess about a year, something like that. We're planners, we're organizers, because we feel that's the best way to not waste time. There are others that have the mentality when traveling or vacationing that they just go with the flow. And I support that wholeheartedly. If that's you, you do your thing. We hate the idea of losing time because of avoidable mishaps or lack of knowledge. For example, not knowing if a parking lot at a trailhead is open or closed, or if you're forced to take a shuttle somewhere instead of driving yourself, things like that. If you can avoid wasting time, not enjoying yourself to the fullest on your trip or your vacation, that irritates us a little bit. That's the kind of travelers we are. Like I said, we do us, you do you. If you are of this mindset, then you understand. We are going to Sedona, Arizona in a few weeks. And as we are wont to do, as we are prone to do, we've been doing a lot of research. And my part of this, we are a partnership. My part is activities related to hiking. And every once in a while, I'll get assigned some dining research. But I find trails and adventure stuff, and I figure out the logistics for that. So I've been doing a deep dive in Sedona for hiking and what I can do to work my way around logistical nightmares. And that has led me, of course, to, well, YouTube is a wonderful tool for that, and there's lots of good stuff out there. But it's, of course, led me to the most readily available source of both knowledge and stupidity, which is social media, and more to the point, Facebook. I'm not doing any research on Instagram for this because, I mean, whatever, that's just pics and videos, which I get it. But sidebar, when we did the same kind of research for our trip to Glacier National Park a few years ago, we lived on YouTube for that stuff. And we got so much information, so much great information from so many wonderful people sharing videos and stories and all the things that they loved and didn't like and all that. It was magnificent. However, we found at a certain point that we wanted to stop watching the videos because it was sort of, we felt it was going to end up taking away from sort of the magic of the trip, seeing everything for the first time. We were getting so familiar with what things looked like without even having been there yet, that it was kind of like an impetus for us to sort of draw back. So that's why I don't want to do a bunch of pictures and videos and things like that. I'm just looking to figure out logistics again, so we're not wasting a bunch of time sitting in the car, which was one of my least favorite things ever. Also, not taking shuttles anywhere. I hate shuttles. Anything that resembles a cattle call or a freaking Disney attraction, I'm just not doing. That's not why I go to a place like Sedona or Glacier or somewhere that's in the middle of nowhere, although Sedona, as I've come to find out, has become one of the most popular places to visit, much like Glacier had a few years ago. And a lot of that had to do with COVID. And the dichotomy of COVID travel, which was, it was wonderful for everyone to get out and travel and see the country more during COVID when you couldn't really do much of anything else, or when you had the ability to work remotely. But the downside of that was that a lot of these places got really, really overcrowded. And Sedona has become one of those places. But that's tangential to what I'm talking about here, which is a bit of an offshoot from yesterday's Monologue Monday about the phone culture and what it's doing to humanity and how it's making us lose our connection with one another and increasing the asshole factor, which brings me to this. I came across this when I was doing, I'm in 2 Sedona groups looking for recommendations for trails and restaurants and things like that. So I came across this morning, and it just really made me want to jump on here, and I'm not really understanding what's happening. So I came across this post. Hello all, heading to Sedona from Scottsdale. Can I use navigation? Is there phone reception when driving on the open road? Now let me just stop right there. Is that an unreasonable set of questions? If you think it is, why do you think it is? To me, as someone who's driven back roads all across the country, there are thousands of places where your cell coverage dies and your navigator goes offline. Now, yes, you can mitigate by doing offline maps and things like that, but this is not an unreasonable question. It's about 125 miles from Scottsdale to Sedona through the desert. Now, when we spent a week in Glacier a couple of years ago, going to the Sun Road was closed in the middle of the park. So we had to drive from the west side to the east side of the park around, which is about 65 miles. And there was no coverage, none. And it wasn't a difficult drive. So we didn't really need the navigator, but the navigator does more than show you where to go. It shows you traffic and accidents and cops and things like that. So I did not find this. I found this to be a perfectly reasonable question. 2 questions. But what I saw in the answers, I was wholly unprepared. Call me naive, but I don't vibe on being an asshole, and I do not understand others that do. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm looking for answers here. What is the deal with this? Because you got answers like, there were some helpful people, yes, and route suggestions, and easy, no need for navigation, drive 65 in the work zone. Those are helpful answers. But you get this. It's 2024. It answers both questions you have. What? How about, yes, and the roads are paved and there are gas stations along the way, followed up by this asshole conversation of, and we even have indoor plumbing. What are you doing? How did you deem 2 things? How did you deem these 2 questions to be so unreasonable and stupid that they were worthy of derision and mockery? And question 2, what the hell do you get out of being a troll? What is it that you get from responding like that? Because you had options here. I think you had many options, but 3 primary options. You could have just ignored this, whether or not it pissed you off as coming across as stupid or not, and just moved on, which is what sane people would do. Or you could have responded like some of these people did with helpful suggestions. Or you could have been a troll, just been an asshole to somebody, some innocent soul who was looking for information, who may or may not be from this country, visiting your town. And that's how you treat them. So please answer me this on this little drop-in episode of the All Around Show. If you have answers for this, if you are a troll, what gets you off, man? What's your deal? Were you born that way, or has this phone-saturated culture, this anonymous keyboard warrior, consequence-free culture that we have online created this monster in you? Because quite frankly, if it's your default position to be a troll, then you're probably a psychopath. So if you are a troll, if you are the kind of person who responds that way to questions like this, then please let me know. And let me know. I'm looking for information here. I'm trying to understand things and people and the universe. So help me out. What is the impetus? What is your impetus for responding in such a fashion as opposed to just not responding at all if you have nothing positive to say? And secondly, if you are just a regular, decent human being, what's your thought on trolls like this, on responses like this? So that's my primary issue for today with this. That's a little thing that I came across today that really just tweaked something in my soul and in my brain, like sandpaper, and wanted to come on here and throw it out there and ask you about it. So if you're out there, thank you for a little bit of your time. Appreciate you on this drop-in episode of the All Around Show. And as I say goodbye, appreciate a little bit of your time. Remember to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and all that bullshit if you're into that kind of thing. Please feel free to comment, as I said, if you have something lucid or enlightening to say, to add to the conversation. I'm looking for information here. So until next time, which may be tomorrow or next week, peace out, homies, and I'll see y'all then.